Boom.
Stand up. Walk with us. My Cuddies. Residence Park. Matheson. Greenwich Village. Yeah. Dayton View. Jefferson. Townview. Parkside. The Bass. The Beasters. Hilltop. Westwood. Arlington Court. Summit Square. Dunbar Manor. Crown Point. Summit Courts. Rolling Circle, Mount Crest, Edgewood, Ottervine, 5 Oaks, Northland, what?
Hey yo, welcome to the city of gems with pennies and slim. I might pull up on some candies and shit on your rims. Where I'm from, you got shit on your Timbs. No such thing as a punk. You get jumped like hold 'em, hit 'em again, fold 'em. That's when I learned to squeeze my gun hard. Seen them getting mowed from the street, so I dropped out of Dunbar. Same day, walking home all alone, ran in the crack. Now I'm posted on the block like Karl Malone, hand on my sack. Down on Germantown, turning down alleys and streets. I think I'm grown cause I'm earning now. This city sucked me in. How could you fuck me when I was so young and dumb? But I refused to let them tuck me in. So I got down and grimy. Got cold, got bold, got popped. Cause they was bound to find me. From that I learned my first lesson. My birds stressing me out. I figured out I better let the words bless. My city always growing. My city always shining. My city always flossing. My city always grinding.
Welcome to the Gym City.
My city always rapping, my city always clapping, my city always fresh, sports ones always matching.
Welcome to the Gym City.
Yeah,
Welcome to the
I'm from the city of Dayton. Check the resume with nines and Beretta spray. With Cuddies learn to grind and ain't trying to find a better way. Shining Chevrolet classics, and whenever they ask, no matter how clever they ask, yeah. Support for our public housing the weakest. You hit the bird dog, you bound to see 1,000 caprices. Youngins root for the bad guys like Solomon Grundy. Hit shields of Huffies when we left Wagam and hungry. Ann and Jonathan brought me up good with morals. The serving Yankee, my hood was normal, so I had to indulge. In these rocks in the bag for a bulge in my pocket was all packing. Back when the St. Lamar was cracking. Hustlers showed us the way to do work. Official uniforms was Guess jeans and Player U shirts. I shot ball and grinding with niggas amongst me is history. It was dope boy reunions out.
The mic without.
Okay. I had to hit that part where they said the official uniform was Guess and Player U shirts.
What's
up
what
with
it
y'all?
was.
This is Hankin TV. I got my man Kinlo in the house, the Hustler State Player University boss in the building. I dropped the link to the Hustler State website and the Player University website in the description. I mean, in the chat. It's also in the descriptions. And we're gonna roll through the website for the people who ain't familiar with it. Man, if you can you introduce yourself, man, to the people?
Hey, I feel like a rapper. I go by the name of Kinlo.
You already know. Where you from, Kinlo?
I'm straight out of Dayton.
Dayton, Ohio.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. Man, what hood did you grow up in?
I grew up on Revels, 2871 Revels. So I played between there, Hilltop. At the time, it was Joy Apartments. You know what I mean? Now it's called Hillside or the Backwoods. So those was the neighborhoods that we bounced around in when I was younger. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Joy
right.
Apartments, Madden Hills, Hilltop.
Right. So, man, you're the true definition, man, of a person who started with nothing, got it, lost it, and got it back again, man. So I want to ask you, man, what's your definition of success?
JT, that's a good one. It depends. I don't think it necessarily means monetarily if people look at success as having a lot of money, because you got a lot of fools out here with money in the present day. But success, to put a definition in, perseverance. You know, if you can persevere through any of the obstacles that's placed upon you, you know what I mean, and overcome and achieve, that's success to me. You know what I mean? Whatever goal you set forth, just basically achieving that goal. You know what I mean? It don't have to mean you made 100 million. You can make 1,000. You can make 100. But long as you do what you set out to do and put forth, a great effort, you know, and you happy and satisfied with it, with the outcome, and you keep persevering and keep going, that's success to me.
Right. Man, so you've been doing this thing a long time, man. So when did the brand officially start?
Well, it really started when I came out of college. I graduated from Ohio University, and that was in 1989. You know what I mean? 1989, I come up out of OU. I wasn't looking to get a job. I started the entrepreneurial when I was in college at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. And I came home with the idea of creating a fictional university. So all my partners who wasn't able to attend a college the way I did, they could have their own, pay homage to their own university. So that's how I really came up with it. So all of it really was created in 1989, to be honest.
Right.
But I didn't
Man,
get the trademark to 1991. So you see it established in 91. I didn't receive all the trademarks to 1991.
right. And man, one of the things I want to ask you, man, for you being so connected and knowing so many people, you know what I'm saying, in the streets, what deterred you from going to the streets?
Oh, I was scared straight. Once I seen scared straight as a kid, I quit stealing now laters and everything. I don't want no parts of it. You know what I'm saying? And then my uncle, he was in Lucasville. And I went up there on a visit a couple of times with my grandmother and my mom. And I seen them folks just devour cake and go into chicken. And I was like, oh, no. Then I seen the gas chamber when you first walked in. That was enough for me. Crime wasn't for me.
Right. So I know you said you're gonna write a book, do a documentary. So I don't really want to give too much away for that, man. What I really want to do, man, is spread awareness, man, about Hustler State and Player University. So this is where I want to start at, because I'm a young nigga, I'm an old nigga, but man, I go all the way back to Spunkies, man, to the checking in sucker shirts, the M&Ms, these M&Ms, don't melt in your hand. I'll go back to them shirts, man. So how did you tell us how you first started printing shirts?
Well, my dad told me to quit begging. That's really how it started. So I was I was at OU, and he said, son, you need to get into fooling with some T-shirts. And at the time, Kevin is like my brother, Ella's son, a good friend of the family. My brother, Bert's mom, or not paternal. What's the correct word? She took care of my brother. She raised him. Henrietta is his mama, but Ella raised Bert. And
Right.
her son, Kevin, was selling purses, selling LA Laker championship T-shirts. So at that time, my dad said, boy, that's what you need to do. So he got me some entrepreneur magazines. He gave me that, some of those. So I started looking through them. We started looking for franchises. I didn't want no franchise. So I ran upon a press machine, looked at a press machine. I'm like, okay, cool. So what I did was I didn't want to buy no press machine. I went back to school that summer, and I went up to the local printer in Athens, Ohio, the Uptown Dog, got his price list, and then I wouldn't start posting posters all around the campus that I could do T-shirts for, any student organizations, fraternities, sororities, things of that nature, using his price list, just adding my price to it. You know what I mean? So that's how I really got into T-shirts. And then it was a big event there called the Wine Fest or Halloween, it's like nationally ranked. OU is like a party school. So it was on Halloween, and I made some Nightmare on Court Street shirts. And Court Street was a big street in Athens. And I took off from there. And after that, it was a wrap. Then I started doing all the student organizations. And I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. And I started doing, my fraternity shirts. I did a little bit of everything. All the student organizations was coming to me. And that's how I got into the T-shirt game.
Okay, so you got into the T-shirt game as far as on campus. So how did you come up with the brand Player? So Hustler State was first. So how did you come up with the brand Hustler State?
Well, like I said, I wanted to create something because my dudes would come to visit me, and they, the Birds, Darren Bird, them guys with my cousin James Moore, they would come up to visit me on campus, and they never been to school. So I was like, man, these cats, we come up here wilding like they back home. I'm like, man, y'all can't do that. We're in a different type of environment. So when I left there, I wanted to create something to give my dudes like them and everybody else an opportunity to have a college feel. So I made a fictional university that they can relate to. At the time, like I said, I came out of '89. So my freshman year, sophomore year, was the introduction of crack era. So the word hustler was used at that time, was looked at as just being drug dealers. That's just how it was. So I came up with Hustler State, and the guy that I pay all the homage to was the hustler. He was a DJ, local DJ. He had all the, the teen clubs. He was the man, and I looked up to him. So that's how I kind of came up with the name Hustler State, not from trying to promote drug dealing, but really in honor of him. Because Mark Jones is the hustler. He's the man. You know what I'm saying? And he got a gang of clubs in Atlanta, restaurants, doing well. And he was the man when I was a kid.
I mean, that story ironic, man. And I ain't trying to take that away from nobody else or toot my own horn, man, but I might be the next Kenlo because I never knew that story, man. And I did the same thing with Hankin.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because Hankin, in Dayton was another word where people call for heroin. And if a person was selling a lot of it, people would say it was Hankin.
Yeah.
So I took it and put a positive spin on it and said, when you can supply the demand, you consistently turn a profit.
Yep.
So when you first start the hustler state, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, to get your cats a feel of being a part of university. How did you go about selling them?
Well, at the time, I printed my first shirts. I came down the highway. I stopped in Columbus, Ohio. I used to live with a gentleman, two of my frat brothers, Canardo Davis and Fred Fernandez. I used to live with them in Columbus, right behind the Northland Mall at that time. So I stopped, and he had a cousin, Jeffrey Slaughter, big-time hustler back in the day in Columbus. Used to drive a Rolls Royce, big-time player, and he had some stores, radio shops and stuff in the flea markets, because back then the flea markets was really the only outlets that people could have to get their business out there. They had to really go to the flea markets. They didn't have the brick and mortar stores. They had them, but it was just so costly. It'd be easier to get into the flea market because they generated a lot of traffic. So, Jeff had a few stores. So I stopped and seen him, and I sold my first shirt to him in Columbus. Then as I left to go to Columbus, I came to Dayton, and I think the first two people I sold, Butchie Ware, rest in peace, and Ike Washington. I seen them two. They bought my first two shirts. Yep. Them two brothers, may they rest in peace. They bought the first two at my dad's bar, which was called PC's Lounge. Everybody called it Burt's. Right, so those was my first sales right there. Then later on to that, I sold some to Cleo and Hurl, HG. That was my next two customers.
Hurl George, yeah.
Yeah.
So you basically took a street mentality and applied it to corporate America.
Yeah, because I was square as a pool table. You know what I mean? My daddy was in the streets, my family was in the streets, but I wasn't. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to, put a different spin on it. So I would take the verbiage that I spit on the player shirts. I did that first on Hustler State, and I put a positive spin to it. You know what I mean? And that it wasn't flying for me at the end, JT, to be honest, because I got introduced to Foot Locker. A guy named Rucker out of Dayton. He was like a regional manager, district manager for Foot Locker. I think his name Kevin Rucker, drop top South, stone cold player. He was from Dayton, and I think he had a store in DC. They put it up there. They said I was glorifying drug dealers because back then in the 80s, the term hustler meant guys who was hustling. Like it used to be scramblers. If you're familiar with the heroin, scrambling was hustling heroin at one time. That used that word scrambling. So hustler was equated with just hustling dope. You know what I mean? Selling drugs. So they was like, nah, that ain't gonna work. And that's how Players University came about. I pulled Hustler State back to register the trademark. And while I was registering the trademark, I pulled out Players University. You know what I'm saying? But Hustler State was the baby of them all. You know what I mean?
Okay. So we gonna officially say we can say the first original headquarters was Spunky's parking lot.
Oh, most definitely. I had a store 4771 Germantown Pike. I used to have it next door. Mr. Poole, Ricky Poole, he let me have a college night on Thursday. So that's how it had the crowds. You know what I mean? I sell stuff next door. I had a shop. And then I had a college night next door. We had the dice games in the back. We did it all. Printing up shirts at night, dice game, running college night. I just stayed in the entrepreneurial. I was a hustler for sure.
So I remember once. I was like I said, I was already hip to it because I was coming up there, copping, messing with you and Nose. Yep. I remember one time I went and did a bit, and I get out. When I get out, I went to the mall. And I went to Man Alive. I seen the Man Alive. I said, my man Ken on them blew up. So how did you go about, getting a commercial deal?
Well, Man Alive came along because I had relationship with the Public family. They used to own Man Alive. They later showed it to Finish Line. And, family out of Indianapolis, they took a liking to me. The son, Ben, for some reason, he seen me at a couple of shows, took a liking to me. And then they had ventured off to open up stores in the Dayton area. And the big insurance guy, Clinton Coble, if he watching, he's the big insurance man. You might see him if you go out on the East End, light-skinned cat, see him on the big billboards. He owns State Farm. He was the manager. You know what I mean? He was the manager there. And he made sure they kept Players University in rotation. And, my hometown, it did well. It did very well. I ended up being in Man Alive, Devil Rose, Foot Locker, Foot Actions. And, local sales was always pretty decent. My hometown has always gave me love. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even be who I am without Dayton, Ohio at all.
So when you first started out, maybe did you ever think it was going to be as big as it became?
Yeah, of course I dreamed that. You know what I mean? I dreamed that, but I was still slinging drinks in my daddy's bar, selling shirts. You know what I mean? I would do that. And then, my daddy's bar attracted a lot of, ghetto superstars and neighborhood celebrities. Let me say that, not ghetto. Let me say neighborhood celebrities. So all the players and the hustlers and ghetto neighborhood superstars will come through the bar. So it was easy to get my product off. You know what I mean? Because, they had money. So they come in, they looking like they doing me. Let me help little Bert, let me have that. They like they helping me out. And then it started catching on. And then I told them one day we was there watching BET. It was Alex Schooler, AD, I think JJ was in there, Fred, they little crew. And I said, nigga, I'm gonna have my clothes on there. They laughed. Nigga, they said, well, give me another drink. You ain't got one right now. Give me another Hennessy and Coke. You know what I mean? So yeah, I envisioned it, I envisioned it for sure.
Right. So spinning off of that, so how did you go about getting your first celebrity endorsement?
You want to know what's funny? The Source magazine. You remember the Source, JT? The Source magazine. So what it did, I ran an ad in the back. Me, Cleo, Hurl. We took a picture right out there. Stefan Cantrell, God rest his soul. Mark Bell, Iron, Darren Bird, my brother Iron Carter. We all took a picture out there, and we put it in the back of the magazine. And hold on, I think I got it. I think I got this picture right here. Lil Dave. Well, yeah, this is from 94, 95. This was the first brochure we took at Roosevelt, and we took a picture there. So I took this and started an ad, and we put it in the back of the Source. And my first celebrity, and he wasn't a celebrity at the time, it was Cameron Gipp from the Goody Mob, Big Gipp. He the first one to reach out. So he reached out like, man, what is this you doing? And da-da-da-da-da. So he kind of put me on. And then later on, he told me about the Dungeon family. So me and him, I would call his house. His mom answered the phone. And then from there, somehow I got plugged in with Scarface. And Face would call me, or I let me call him, or however we did it. You know what I'm saying? And I got close with him. And then from there, I just had that relationship. But my real solidified relationship that I could really say came from Tommy Owens. Tommy Owens told me he was going to meet Too Short in Detroit. And he said, man, bring some shirts. You want to go? I said, yeah, I want to go. He said, I'm supposed to be hooking up with Short because he was cool, which later on became one of my best friends. Ramon was Too Short's road manager. And him and Tommy had already been kicking it, from Tommy doing shows and Tommy's daddy doing stuff. So, Tommy was known throughout the industry. You know what I mean? So Tommy said, you want to go? I said, yeah. So I rode up there with him. We went up there. He introduced me to Short. I met Jalen Rose. I met Michael Moore. Michael Moore was a boxer at the time. I think he beat Holyfield. Jalen Rose went on. They was in a 5-5 at the time. The next day, he was breaking curfew. I think they went on to beat, I don't know if they played Duke or they played somebody big the next day. But I met all of them on the brink of that, and I met Short. And Short was like, man, I'm shooting a video in Atlanta. Bring some stuff down. I said, all right, cool. So that's how that relationship started, through Tommy Owens. And Too Short was the first person that I could really say I had a solidified relationship, because me and Face just talked. And then we later on got cool by me being on the road, me and Darren Bird being on tour with Short. They had a Platinum Players too, Too Short, MC8, Scarface, Big Mike, Bones Thug. Me and Darren, we went on the tour, rolled behind the bus selling shirts everywhere they went.
So I remember back in the day, I had heard a story. Came on with the Freaknik, man, and the police took all his shirts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that was later on. The first year we went, I think in like 94, we killed them. You know what I'm saying? Me and Knowles were down there, and I had all my shirts, These Nuts, Players University. That's when I only had Players University with the double XL on it. It was just like I would do navy, white, maroon, burgundy, or maroon and burgundy, the same thing. But I did all the multiple colors with just a white print. I would sell that. Then I had the Players with the shield in the middle. And at the time, I wasn't even selling Hustler State no more because we still was, again, waiting on the trademark. So we went down there. We tore them up. You know what I'm saying? Me and my cousin Ronnie, Darren Burke, Kevin Burke, Big Kerry. We took everybody down there. Jason Carter, Jano, Knowles. It was off the hook. You know what I mean? So we went down there, did well. Then the next year I went back. We sold Freaknik shirts, and we got caught without no permit. They took my shirt.
Right, man. You the true man. You like the true definition of the blueprint, man. Because I you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I just want to give you your roses, man. Because I think you like the blueprint to a person, as far as thinking they can't do it or they grew up in a certain environment or something. Because like I say, man, you grew up around a lot of player and hustlers, man. And cats that was really getting money, and you took it and turned it into something positive, man.
Most definitely, and you know what? It's a different. We live in a different era. You know, around that time, you know, you had guys who will pull you aside and say, "Hey, man, this ain't for you." You know what I mean? But you also had some cats they'll put that dope in your hand. You know what I mean? But I was just fortunate enough with the respect that my, you know, a lot of people had for my dad. They wasn't even gonna let me get no dope. And I never forget this. Oops, Robert Yates, name is Oops, and he called me, and I was in college. My dad had him call me, and he's like, "Man, I need you to do some shirts for me." So that was my first contract job that I ever did in Dayton outside of me selling shirts. He said, "Man, listen, I need something for this exact words, for a tax write-off." So I didn't understand. He talking about a tax write-off. He said, "I need something for a tax write-off. I want you to do these shirts." And he's like, "Plus, I don't want to see you get out here and get in the mix. I want you to stay, you know, in school." He gave it to me raw. Like, this ain't for you. So here, this is what you're going to do. Swish Hair Care Gallery. I don't know if anybody, the audience, a little older, a little mature. Swish Hair Care Gallery was that thing back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It was like the mecca of hair salons. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he let me make the shirts for them. And then that was part of my hustle. I go around, JT, to all the beauty salons, in and out of the barbershops, trying to sell my wear. You know, ultimately, my sister worked there, Valeria Perry, owned that shop. You know what I'm saying? I would go in there and sling my shirts, and, you know, it was cool. And that's how I built up my following, hustling like that.
Right. Some of these spots, you name it, man, you ain't got to go too in depth, man, but you got to go a little deeper and explain to the people, man, because we worldwide.
And then when you say going in depth, you mean in?
I mean, like you said, the hair shop, you like, you know, I was hip to it. Yeah, I'm hip to it. It's the people in the audience from the city, they hip to it too. So, like, some of the things, like some of the spots we talking about, you know, like Spunky's. Tell people everybody what Spunky's was.
Well, Spunky's was the hottest nightclub to me. It went in and out. I think we had Your Place later on, but Mr. Poole had a solid run. You know, it was a few spots would open up bars, but Spunky's was really pretty much the only nightclub that we kind of had for a while. I mean, we had the Silver Fox, Fax V's, things of that nature. We had PCs, but they was more bar oriented. Spunky's was only really like the only nightclub that we really had, and everybody and their mama would be out there.
Right,
you know what I mean? So it was like the Velvet Room of Atlanta. It would be the Velvet Room of Dayton. You know, that's the spot where everybody went.
Like the Boom Boom Room.
Man, for real.
So once again, I did a bit. I went up going doing another bit. I'm sitting back on my bunk one day reading a magazine. I read Ken Lo's Soul Players University. So what happened when you had sold it?
Well, at the time, man, what happened is I was only probably doing like $4 million a year. And I was independent, JT. I didn't have no backing. I didn't have no foreign corporations. no investors, no nothing. Money from Burt Watts is pretty much all the money I got. Maybe CV Mitchell gave me a couple dollars one time. CV, one of my investors, CV Mitchell. That's my man. But other than that, that's all I really had. So what happened is I reached a point where all of the rappers were starting to develop their own clothing line. And I stood alone as an independent. I mean, you had Jay-Z had Rockaware, DMX had Rough Riders, Russell, of course, had Fat Farm, who was first. Puff had Sean John, you know what I mean? Even Ludacris had a line, Outkast had a line, Snoop had a line, Master P had a line, and then it's Kenlo. You know what I'm saying? And only alliance I had with artists at the time was Too Short. And Too Short was still screaming bitch. And at the time, bitch wasn't just a well-received word. You know what I mean? It just wasn't, it ain't used in the narrative that is used now, basically. Right. You know what I mean? Back then, no. That's, you got women who call themselves bitches. It's a different term now. It's still disrespectful. You know what I mean? But at that time, that's all I had. You know what I'm saying? Was short, and that wasn't flying. And, it was starting to swing into from sports specialty for me into federated. And federated was department stores, the Macy's, the Nordstroms, things of that nature. And I was in sports specialty. So what happened was, because all these guys had brands, I was just a t-shirt brand, t-shirts and hats. So what the buyers would say, oh, Kenlo, we need you to make this. And I chased those trends, which was my first mistake. And what happened was, you go to a factory at that time, you had to get 100 dozen. It ain't like now with these guys from Pakistan to tell you they'll make one piece. When I was coming up, it's 100 dozen, 1,200 pieces minimum. So if I wanted a pair of jeans, I had to get 1,200. If I wanted a matching top, I had to get 1,200. So if I had 2,400 units and I'm only in sports specialty chain, they're not carrying denim and wovens and all that type of thing. They carrying, just my t-shirts and hats. So as they started getting into that, I didn't have a name to carry it. You know what I mean? Players University was known, like I said, for t-shirts and hats. And these guys had, FUBU. You had all this. They had LL, Esco. He had Nas. You know what I mean? So everybody was kind of influenced through the artists. I didn't have anybody. I stood alone. I was just influenced by the game. You know what I'm saying? So that was my point where I started buying so much stuff because I was like I said, I'm self-contained. I had my own money. So that means if I made $4 million and my company's profit was $2 million, I'll put the $2 million back into the business. So now that shit started getting ate up because I'm buying 100 dozen of this, only selling 240 to the stores that I had. Now I got 800-900 pieces sitting in my warehouse that I got to try to sell to mom and pops. Mom and pops, of course, at that time, they chasing all the rapper brands. You know what I mean? So they give me a little bit of love. Again, they know me for t-shirts. So they buy my t-shirts and put it with some Fat Farm jeans, some Echo or whatever it is. I'll be the tie-in. But they wasn't coming to me for denim and the rest of the collection. And that's where I made my biggest mistake. Should have just stayed in a t-shirt brand. I'm doing $4 million a year. I'm cool. And I turned down a lot of deals and a lot of times when I could have, went to a bigger company, got the infrastructure. I just remained independent because, I was doing everything all them other cats was doing. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I wasn't tripping. But that's really how the empire folded right there.
So I don't care what nobody say, man. When Sean John and Rockaware rappers start dropping their brands, man, where you think they got the blueprint from? What would you think inspired them?
It's a lot of them. I mean, it's a lot of dudes that we don't. The boy, he's passed away. I think his name is it Patrick Kelly. We had a lot of black designers. Willie Ware. You got a lot of dudes that was popping. Maurice Malone, right up the road in Detroit. These guys was really real fashion guys. Carl Kanai. So when you start seeing that, those dudes was the trendsetter of being first, as far as African Americans in fashion. Of course, Dapper Dan was doing this thing, even though he was doing it at that time with making the Louis and the Gucci and Fendi and all that. And I ain't gonna call it knockoffs, but he was using that fabric to make the clothes. You know what I mean? So all of us pretty much followed those blueprints. And then I myself, I kind of looked up to the Willie Ware dude. He was dope. He made suits and then there was another dude They out of Springfield, Everett Hall. Dope, super dope. He's sweaters, slacks. He was on some more, higher end stuff. But, I was familiar with them guys and I studied them. And, a lot of us probably was influenced by, local people in our neighborhoods who was fly. You know what I mean? And that's how I think the fashion thing kind of trended to the music industry, the hip hop industry, getting into the fashion game. Dapper Dan, really, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Right. So how did you get into fashion?
You know what? I ain't really no fashion guy. I'm a hustler, man. Like right now, it's a lot of guys there locally that I get them up to them younger guys. Joel, Legendary Av, my little youngin' Chris Mack. Them guys is more into fashion. I'm more of a hustler, like, because I'm a numbers man. You know what I mean? So when you start talking about fashion, Dave Scott, them guys, you got a lot of dudes that's pretty dope. You know what I mean? That's at home, and I'm just more the numbers. Like I'm gonna give you 144 t-shirts, and I'm gonna get rid of them. You know what I mean? Where I'm in the numbers. I'm in the numbers. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna have a pop up November the 22nd. I'll play the numbers game. I'll bring a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. We distribute it. I don't oversaturate it. You know what I'm saying? And I play it that way. Now, if I want to go fashion, I make my stuff fashionable, but I really don't. The fashion, that really ain't me. I just know what look right. I'm creative, and I mesh it and balance it where my strength and my weakness is at, and that's how I go. But a fashion guy, I'm all right. I know a little bit about fashion from being around it.
Right. Well, man, you had a nice long run, man. So what's some of the things that like motivate you, inspire you to keep going?
Well, falling down, that would inspire me, man. I lost everything. Took care of a lot of people, made some bad decisions. My independency and arrogance kind of humbled me. It snatched that shit right from under me. You know what I mean? You don't play. When God gives you an opportunity to go out here, you got to treat every day like it's last, and you got to be humble. And at times, I wasn't arrogant in the braggadocious way. I just was taking things for granted as if it was going to always continue to be there, and that's not the case. And with business, it's like a roller coaster. You got peaks that go up and they go down. You know what I mean? It's exciting on the way up, boy. Listen here, frightening on the way down. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, just a lot of that's what motivates me now to try to do it again, because now it's a different era, it's a different time. I'm much older. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the energy, so I got to be a lot wiser. You know what I'm saying? I stay on the phone with Joel and Chris, little young Chris Mack, and I get a lot of inspiration from them young dudes, as well as my partners in Atlanta who helped me. My partner got another clothing line worldwide, so we all stick together. Young Lotto, he out of Cincinnati. He got Triple OG. So I stay in tune with a lot of up and coming brands, and we kick ideas around with each other. And now I'm just motivated to do it again because I got to. That's in me, and I represent Dayton. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We the comeback kids for sure.
Right. So boom, you dropped the Hustle State, the Player University. You're doing the thing at Spunky's. You're going to the Freaknik. So you moved down to Atlanta. What inspired that?
A series of unfortunate events. I was on Gettysburg, and again, like I said, I went up with Tommy Owens to meet Too Short, and he told me that they shooting a video in a couple of weeks. Well, my uncle had some clothes he gave me to sell. My uncle Bruce Bass, may he rest in peace. He gave me some clothes. He's like, here, Kenny, get rid of these. He had some polos. So I'm on Gettysburg in the plaza, the Goldman's Plaza, selling some shirts. I'm just selling, because I just got a knack for selling stuff. So he gave it to me. I went over there. They had a big crap game out there. They used to stop and shoot dice out there. Right. Man, somebody comes and robs the crap game. And during that robbery, they shot several people. You know what I'm saying? And the gentleman that I was running beside, me and him running side by side, Duck Springer, may he rest in peace. They was running behind us, shooting us at both of us. They hit Duck. And I told him to quit, keep running. But he had on some shoes where he slipped. And that's how the dude fired on him. And right after that, my cousin Ronnie was out there. My brother James Florence, he was with me. I said, I'm out of here, man. I done went to college, got a degree, came back to throw my life away. I moved to Atlanta the next day. Next day. Got in the U-Haul, told Ronnie I need help. My brother Jay, we loaded up, and I got the hell on. Moved to A.
Okay, so
and went to the video shoot when I got there.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. So far as putting it down up here with the brand, then you move down to the A. How did it take off?
It was cool. Me and Darren moved down there, and we went from being local celebrities because Dayton is small, and Darren ran the security. You know what I'm saying? His family was super popular. I was pretty popular from doing my thing, and my dad and my family. So Dayton is a small city, so people don't realize you can get instant notoriety when you're in Dayton, Ohio. They call it a city, but I call it a town. You know what I mean? I'm from a town called Dayton with a big city aspiration. That's me. That's just my take. No knock on my city. But so when we got to Atlanta, we wasn't getting that type of love. We was standing in line. We was paying to get in. Oh my goodness, the bankroll we had, we was broke in about a month. You know what I'm saying? But we was meeting everybody. You know what I'm saying? We was going around meeting but we had to pay. We didn't have no juice, none whatsoever. So I told Darren, listen, baby, you got to go back home, sell some shirts and get us some money so we can stay down here. You know what I'm saying? So Darren went back, and listen, this man, Darren Bird, believed in me, and that's my dog to this day. He left all his kids. Darren is an excellent father, but Darren has some kids and family. He left them to provide for them through dealing with me. And I respect that man because, like right now, I'm in Florida because of my kids. So that means I would have did the opposite of what Darren. I ain't leaving my you know what I mean? And Darren, he left Dayton to roll with me. And it was just me and him down there. And we put in work from dealing with MC Breed to Short to Jazzy Faye, Eric Sermon, Keith Murray. We was around everybody. You know what I mean? Through our relationship with Short and Ramon Dancy.
Right. But then, like you say, coming from a small town like this, and being as popular as you was, then going to Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? It's really kind of hard to really be, I guess, starstruck or whatever. But far as coming from Dayton and then going to Atlanta, like, man, I'm from Dayton. Who was like the person you met that you really never thought you'd have met?
Dang, that's a good one. Well, Face was, I always looked up to Face. And when I really got to kick it with him and be on the road and kick it with Big Mike and them guys, because Big Mike, the Ghetto Boys, Ebony, I think she was on your show. That's cousin. That's fam. She had a baby by, him. So I was out on the road with them, MC8, just being around all these type of dudes. Being a kid from Dayton, Ohio, being around that, to all the athletes that I got to hang around, and Nick Anderson, Stephon Marbury, to all the football players I have relationships with, not just they see me like, no, Nick Anderson used to be like, listen, you come to Orlando, nigga, you need a house, you can stay in mine. Them type of relationships that I built from t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, it got to be just common. You know what I mean? Going over Jermaine's house, Jermaine Dupri, Lil John at the time, we had a relationship before he became the Little John he is now. Lil John was working at So Def, and he used to always look out for me. You know what I mean? And when I would look around and I'm like in a room with Puff and Biggie, and I'm like, man, I'm from Dayton, and look where I'm at. But being from where we from, just like I know, we want to do better and do bigger because it's a small town, small city aspirations. But I tell my partner Ryan Walker, who's from this Mr. Hunt's son, who I do work for right now. He's from Dayton as well. And I always tell him, I don't care where you go in this world, you're going to see somebody from Dayton and they're going to be doing something positive. You know what I'm saying?
That's one thing about it. Being a cat from Dayton, man, can go and make it anywhere, man.
Oh, most definitely. You just survived you just survived Dayton with some of the things that go on in that town. Yes, you can survive anywhere. And I really say this wholeheartedly. A lot of people, Dayton ain't what it used to be. You know what I mean? So you and I, we're a little older. We seen it when it was flourishing, when you had all these jobs and opportunities. It's different now. It's different. Like a good job is $15 to $18 an hour. Where that was back in the day, you go to gym, you might be making 30 something dollars an hour.
Right.
So the opportunities have kind of it's a little bit of disparity between the classes and the sharing of the wealth in that town. So now as a kid, you see all this because now you got social media and you see these young folks and these Black African Americans thriving all over the world. You want that too. And I'm not saying that Dayton won't give you that opportunity because you got to create it, but you develop a hustle and you develop a grind and you some determination to do better and to want more because they don't give us a lot. You can go to any town in Ohio and it's like, you come to Dayton, it's like, we got beautiful women, beautiful folks there. We got a lot of educated, smart, intelligent people, but the opportunities, I just don't feel it ain't like big cities. Let's just say that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So what you working on now?
Well, right now I'm in the process of, I got a plan. And this is how my plan is for some of the people out there listening, because they be like, man, you be doing pop-ups, the website. Well, what I'm doing now is just trying to gradually create a new audience and mend that with the older audience who remembers me from back in the day. I'm trying to balance the two, the young and I'm gonna say the new and the people who have knowledge of me. So I won't be saying old. So what I'm trying to do now is just build it through the social media platforms. I'm learning how to navigate that. Miss Keisha Nicole gonna help me with that. She's a beast, and we both came out of OU, Ohio University Bobcat. So I'm just learning how to, get my brand on these social platforms to give myself a different audience and a fresher set of eyes who ain't familiar with me. That's the whole key. My hometown been 1,000% supportive, showing a lot of love, a lot of loyalty and dedication to my brands. They rock with me. So I want to try to build from that and, just increase the presence out here in the marketplace and grow the brand, get it back to where it's at. I'm really going to probably concentrate on direct to consumer. So that's why I'll be trying to screen the website. But I know it's a lot of people, they don't be comfortable and you got to build a trust so they can come to your site. But you can ask, you order today, I'm shipping. You know what I mean?
I can vouch for that. And with a handwritten note.
Yeah, yes. And I'm growing. So right now I'm about to get me a stamp. Because boy, listen here, the orders are starting to come in, man. So I sit down and then, a lot of these notes that I write, like you, I know that's you. You know what I'm saying? So that's heartfelt and true because I know some of these people. Now I'm starting to get people from Texas, and Alabama, you know what I'm saying? Miss Bolden, if you listen, she's a beast she's from Decatur, Alabama. This woman buy my stuff, loyal supporter. My sister, Amy. It's just a lot of people, man. Amy Hoskins, they take Mel Hunter, Art Watkins, you know what I'm saying? Rhonda McCoy, Snake. These people, they buy my stuff soon as I drop some. Jock Hoskins, you know what I'm saying? DB King, as he calls himself. You know what I'm saying? I done had a lot of support, like yourself. When I drop something, they participate, you know what I mean? Come in and shop with me, and I truly appreciate that. So I'm really just trying to build that same type of loyalty that I have from my hometown, build that in Memphis and Atlanta and Texas and things of that nature. That's what I'm really trying to do at this point.
I was definitely gonna get there, man, because the social media, man, like you say, something we didn't have back in the day. Do you do custom pieces?
I do. But the problem with the custom pieces, JT, I'm small. I'm a one-man gang. If you look back here, I'm gonna ship. I'm a package. I'm a market. I'm a customer service. I'm gonna try to promote. I do it all. So it's hard for me to do it. And a lot of people, if they got the patience, they'll wait. Some people out there, they be like, listen here, I've been waiting a long time, but I try to make it worth the wait. And I do some custom pieces, but it's hard. Really, right now, I've been doing the varsity jackets, and they've been doing well for me. And I think that's how I'm going to introduce myself into the bigger markets, because everybody doing T-shirts, everybody doing hoodies, everybody doing joggers. But I got some varsity jackets can rock with the best of them. You know what I mean? The boys up in Chicago, they number one. The fashion firm, black owned, boys out of Chicago, they the coldest. So I'm going to fall right in behind them. They raw. You know what I mean? And the boy down in Atlanta, he raw too. Named OC, he got raunchy clothing. He raw too with the varsity coat. So that's kind of where I'm gonna try to head to when I introduce myself into them bigger cities. You know what I mean? So I can have a product that differentiates itself from all the stuff that's out there.
So what be like the timing of the pop-ups you do?
The time of the pop-ups, I really just try to really just pop in once a month because I don't have anybody carrying my product locally. I used to do it with Tay at the entrepreneur shop, and then the demand started increasing a little more. And then I was like, I can give myself longevity by controlling the distribution. You know what I'm saying? That's from being around them hustlers. Like, I'm not going to sell my dope to everybody. I'm going to sell my dope to one person. Y'all got to go get it from him. So I just chose to do that with my clothes. You either going to get it from me or you're gonna get it when the plug come in town, which is going to be me. You know what I mean? And that's helped me stay around. And not everybody has my product. Some people are a little upset with me because when I first started doing pop-ups, it was chaotic. I didn't have it. I didn't have it under control. I'm being totally honest. It was new, and I didn't know what to expect. And man, we had people waiting, and it was crazy. And a lot of the people never came back. They like, man, I'll never come back, and they didn't. You know what I mean? Because I was out of pocket. I wasn't prepared. But now I'm ready. You know what I mean? So the people who do come, you see them walking around, you see you. You know what I'm saying? It's different ways to get me to pop up or the website. That's just how I'm rolling it for right now, because that to me creates a demand. If everybody had it, it'd be dead. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So coming from Dayton, man, we're gonna keep calling this small town, man. Who are some of the people you've been able to work with in the fashion industry?
I work with them all. I mean, I work with Damon John through Bobby Joseph at Fubu, Ali Asha, Mecca, Emmett, and his brother Don Juan. They got their own label. I think they got what they got now. They got Strivers Row, the Purple label. I think that's Don Juan. I work with all of them, and all of them used to do some freelance for me. You know, Dante Wilder, he had his own thing. My man down in Atlanta, Dumar Hawk, you know what I'm saying? Young Murph. I didn't work with all of them. As far as in the fashion, Mikael, I didn't work with everybody. You know, they all know me, the industry vets, you know, Tony Shellman, all of them guys from a Nietzsche, because I was independent. And I was going against the grain. Like all them guys had back and I didn't. Still had booths at Magic, you know what I'm saying? Still had rap vehicles, you know what I'm saying? We talking about Escalades, Navigators, did all of that. So, you know, they gave me a little bit of respect for me being, you know, my independent grind. But I work with all of them.
Right.
In some capacity.
So, how you gonna go about telling your story, man? Because you got a powerful story, man.
Well, you know what, JT, you giving me the privilege and to come on your outlet to speak about it. That's the only way I'm doing it. Like I don't really want to tell too much because, you know, I don't want to be looked at as an old school iconic brand. I want to come out, you know, fresh set of eyes. You know, I can put this Just for Men on every day, but that Just for Men ain't gonna do nothing for the work ethic. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just come on out and let it introduce it, let it speak for itself. You know what I mean? And then as it grows and we captivate a newer audience, now I can drop a little history on them because then they can be like, wow, oh, he used to be with Woo. Because like I got pictures I just found of Tupac's folks. You know, they got the shirts on with Pac, and I used to give stuff to Pac's people, but I never got to see him in it. You know what I'm saying? But when I seen what's it, Edie Amin, one of them, I got a picture. I'm gonna post it on one of these Throwback Thursdays. But man, I done had everybody in my stuff. You know what I'm saying? I found a picture of Dr. Dre. So, you know, when you start going back, some of these kids, they don't even know who them people are. They know who Pac is, but you know, some of these people, they don't know and don't care. Too Short and Pimp C and all these guys who used to wear my clothes. So it's good for us to go back to that time. But some of these kids I got fooling with me, they have no idea how old this brand is. You know, I'm down here in Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, and I got a lot of young kids who rock with me. Little brand ambassadors, 16, 17 years old, high school, college, have no idea. You know what I'm saying? They just like the clothes. So as I grow it and start getting it around people, then they be, oh, that's the OG. Woo, 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 woo. And then, you know, it'll be cool to tell the story then. But right now, I'll keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna let this game speak for itself.
The story's still being written right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still got about 5 more chapters to go before we close this book up.
So I mean, I know it used to inspire me, man. I used to look at magazines, man, and see people wearing it.
Yeah. Well, we starting it back now. I just developing relationships with some Instagram influencers. You know, I've been kind of focusing on the comedians that I feel like do player style comedy. You know what I mean? It's going to appeal to, you know, they ain't going to be looked at as corny and lame. So, you know, that's been helping me because they reels. Like I just did one with the big homie, the young big homie, Keon. Dude is up to about 100. No, he 200 and some thousand views. He just did it for me on Monday. You know what I mean?
Okay.
More than that. He got 129,000 likes. So, you know, it's starting to give me some traction. I did something with the boy Just Q. I'm going to be doing some more stuff. You know, I did something with the boy E the Realist. I did something with him. So it's starting to come. And then when I get to Atlanta, because I'm leaving here. When my daughter graduates, like I said, I'm here for my kids. Once she graduates, I'm the fuck up out of here. Excuse my language, but I'm up out of here. And going back to the A. And then from there, I can cultivate some of these relationships from the past and the new. So
tell people about the pop-up shop you got coming up soon.
Well, I got a pop-up shop November the 22nd at Arena. It's on Salem Avenue. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing in some Hustler State. I'm bringing in some Players U, some hoodies, some hats, some Scullies, things of that nature. And the reason why I'm doing it on Tuesday the 22nd, we have a party on Thursday for Thanksgiving. And back in the day, we used to do the Players Night Out. And, you know, it was a big gala, people dressed up. But I know now the economy is a little different, times a little different. So I said, let me put a new twist on it. So we're just going to do it, the takeover. We'll get back to the Players Night Out when we feel like dressing up again. We'll go back to that. But on Thanksgiving night, if you wear Hustler State or Players University, it just costs you $10 to get in. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if it's a Players hat, if it's a Hustler State, if it's Play Hers University, just put that on, throw it on, come out, have a good time after you eat the turkey, $10. I got Ronald Hunter as a DJ, DJ Schoolboy as a DJ, providing the music. It's going down.
Okay. Now I ain't gonna hold you up too long, but one more thing, man, for the ladies, man, explain the ladies brand for them.
Well, you know, of course, behind every Play Her, there's a player. You know what I mean? But the Play Hers was something that I created because, you know, people take the term player, it's got a different meaning. I don't try to explain it no more because I let everybody else create their narrative. But I will say this, you know what a player is not. So for people out here with the false representation, that ain't what we standing on. You know what I'm saying? You know what being a player is. And it ain't about having multiple men and women having multiple dudes. That ain't what being a player is all about. It's, you know, it's a different meaning and a different code. And we know what that is. You know what I mean? So I came up with the Play Hers in a sense because, you know, it's to give the women something. You know what I mean? And empowerment for women is what was my tagline. But we're going to develop it. I think what I'm going to do with the women's, because I ain't too skilled in making the dope women's silhouettes. Yeah, I can make a sweatshirt, but I want that shit to turn into something. So I'm working on trying to get a licensee to come in and help me with the Play Hers, because, you know, women, those are my biggest customers. You know, the guys, no disrespect to y'all, but y'all don't like using that website. The women get on there and they order what they need and they going about their day. So, you know, I would like to have something more catered to them direct. And sometimes women don't like the word Play Her. So they buy Hustler State because, you know, women is the real true hustlers just like us. You know, they hustle just as much as we do. You know what I'm saying? Holding the families down, holding the backbone of the community is a woman. So they got to be hustlers in this day and age. You know what I mean? With all this single family nonsense going on, you know, and they would try to attribute that to us being players. No, we playing a game of life trying to win. That's all. Now, if the fruits of the labor is going to be some women, so be it. If the fruits of the labor of a woman being successful is a lot of men, because she's beautiful and intelligent, independent, and you know what I mean, and she well sought after, she can play it how she want to play it. That's up to her. But that's not what I created, Players University and Play Hers and all that stuff. That ain't what it's about.
Right. Man, if the people want to get at you, man, how can they find you?
Instagram, I'm at Players UNIV. Facebook, Kenlo, Players University. I also got Players University on Instagram, 1991. Hustler_state on Instagram. You know, I'm around. I have a phone number that I can give out once so people can reach me direct. You can just text me, and then you can leave me information. I can send you stuff about sales, drops, things of that nature. I'm about to, I'm really 2023. We're gonna try to get it together and put some more infrastructure to this thing so I can really take it to the next level. You know what I mean?
Right. So, man, with a lot of people, man, coming out with t-shirt lines, many clothing lines, and merch. I call it merch.
Yeah.
What's some advice you can give them, man?
Well, they got to stay at it, man. Don't let nobody tell you what you can and you can't do. You know what I'm saying? And when I was coming up, it wasn't a lot of people. It was Cheryl's Creation, the boy Tally, who was used to put the leather on the things. Lamar, forgive me, Lamar. Those are the only people that you can go to get any type of advice from fashion to clothing. So now it's a lot of us. So we don't really got to alienate ourselves among each other and look at each other as like competition. Because like I said, I talk to Chris Mack probably once a week. I talk to Joe 2 to 3 times a week. You know what I'm saying? And them guys is younger than me, and they got hot stuff. Might even be hotter than mine. They come to me for advice. I go to them for advice. Things, mistakes that I made, I correct them. So, aligning yourself. Anybody who know me out there, my young Julian Brooks, loner, can't forget him. He got some fire. You know what I'm saying? That's my youngin right there. I rocks with him. We all just need to make an alliance to deal with one another. And K-Red, Coach, can't forget my dog, Coach.
Coach Ronnie.
Oh, that's my dog. You know what I mean? So we always bouncing ideas off each other. You know what I mean? And can't forget Coach. Coach a hustler like me. He played the game I play. We're going to get out here, pop this trunk, and we're going to get it cracking. It might not be pretty all the time, but the results, when you go to chasing fifth, third, it's the same. You dig? It's the same. But just reach out. I share information with anybody. You know what I'm saying? But I will tell people this. If you don't support me, don't ask me for no advice. You know what I'm saying? If you don't support me, sometimes a lot of people say you shouldn't do it that way. But how can we build something? It can't be one-sided.
You should do it that way.
It can't be one-sided. If I'm going to give you some information and knowledge to help you, not make a ton of mistakes, you know what I mean? It's worth it to support one another.
And then you go spend
pick them up, they're going to call me anytime.
And then you'll go spend 1,000 with Gucci, but won't spend 30 with me.
Well, I think now local brands is starting to become status symbols, which is great for us. Like if you go to Cincinnati, them cats, they rock their hometown brands. Whether it's black owned, some of the other brands down there. My dude at Hard to Knock, he got his own line. Altitude, I think that's what it is. Them guys support the local brand. And Dayton is getting like that too. Like you can go down the street, you're going to see all of us. Young Flam, I can't forget Young Flamborghini. You know what I mean? Good kid. We started to develop that. You know what I mean? We starting to develop that. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people out here. There's a lot of fugazi to be going on amongst us too. Niggas knocking off each other's designs, knocking off their looks. That ain't player whatsoever. Right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take some of you cats. I'm gonna put y'all on my taxes with some of the stuff y'all been doing with all that look alike. But that's cool. I'm inspired by that. Yeah, for sure. But we just, I give them listen, man, keep going and don't tell nobody that you can't, and then be realistic with yourself. Some people got some stuff. If you come to me, I ain't gonna tell you that it's whack. I'm gonna just tell you this how I would do it. Because I didn't want nobody shoot my dreams out the air. Because they laughed at me. So people laughed at me. They was like, "Lo, man, listen." Like I told you, they said, "Man, get behind that bar, fix a drink. You ain't gonna be on." Yeah, but I kept going, and I had to tune them out because I believed in me. That you got to believe in yourself. That's what I tell any person who out here with t-shirts. And the other advice I give JT is this: because it's a hot saying, doesn't mean that's going to work on a t-shirt.
Right. Most definitely. I remember I hit you up a while back and asked you about the Eminem shirt. You was like, "Man, I ain't got that design no more." I was like, "Man, you care if I redo it?" I redid it. I redid it, but I ain't gonna do this. It's gonna just be for me. I ain't gonna do nothing with it. I redid
Listen,
it.
you might as well listen. That shirt was a classic. I got so many shirts.
Man.
Listen, man. But see, again, once again, it's about involvement because I used to make a lot of shirts, and you know from back then, it's shirts that I made. There's no way possible you can feel comfortable wearing them now. You know what I mean? Because some of the verbiage that I had on them. But again, that was the era in parody shirts, and all during this time, I've always had a side hustle. That was another thing because the players you in the hustle state, it might not be on all cylinders sometimes. So I do contract printing. I do work for, what I said, Ryan, he got a company called Matrix, a $10 million boutique advertising agency. Dude, straight out of date, 10 mil. You understand me? 10 mil, just like that. So he enables me to work for one of his clients, which is Backwoods. So you'll see me with a lot of making Backwoods shirts and hats and towels and things of that nature. So I use that to give myself some extra income. You know what I mean? Right. Because sometimes players you in Hustle State ain't gonna pay all the bills. You know what I mean? So some of these people, when they get in there, be wise and think, man, have you another backup as far as another income, because you know, I don't want to shoot your dreams down, but the whole thing is you got to have some stable income until that thing takes off. You know what I mean? You jump out here and I'm gonna quit my job and you're gonna walk out on faith, and that faith will lead to you falling on your face. You understand me? Talking like young Garfield, young G Field, you know.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate you tapping in, man. I really appreciate it, man. I've been trying to get at you for a while, man. People don't really realize, man, how far this go back, man. Like I told you when I first hit you up, like, man, I go all the way back to the spunky days, man.
Yeah, you kept leaving us for a while, going to college and come back, but now you're here with us.
Going to the university, but I'm back for good now, man. I got the website for the Player University and Hustle Station. It's in the description of the YouTube video. It's also in the comments. Hit him up. It's about to fly off the shelves, man.
Oh, for sure, most definitely. And I truly appreciate you having me and having the patience, because it was time you was at me, Hankin, real talk. I didn't know if I could even sit down to do an interview because I didn't have nothing to be interviewed about. But I'm in a different space, in a different place now, and you could probably see from the glow. I'm on my way back, baby. I'm on my way back.
Man, I also, man, want to just wish you a good recovery back, man, from your COVID, man, too.
Oh, man. Most definitely. Yeah, guy, he wasn't done with me. He let me stay in the hospital for about 30 days. He said, listen, player, get up out of here. You got something to do. You got a journey and a purpose to complete. So I'm on the move.
Definitely.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to stay tapped in with you, man, and anything you're doing, man, let me know, man. You know I'm going to share it, man, and spread the word. I
appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me. Thank you, man.
All right, no, man. Thanks, man.
Keep it hanking.
All right, you already know. What's up, y'all? That was Ken Lowe, Player University, Hustle State boss. I got on the Player University shirt and hat now, man. I got so much of it, I ain't know what to put on, so I just put on the P. We really pushing P. That's where that pushing P started from. No, I'm just playing, but the websites is in the descriptions of this video. Go ahead and hit up the websites. It's in the comments. So go ahead and copy also Hustle State, Player University. What's the day? Today is what? Thursday. Who I got coming on Tuesday? I got an interview coming up Tuesday, man. I can't think about who I got going. Oh, yeah. Also, ladies. He got it for the ladies, too. Play hers. So check him out. I had shared the website on the page during the interview, so y'all can get a good look at it, man. It's fire, man. This thing go back all the way to 91, man. I came up on this. And like I was telling you, man, he got an inspirational story, man. And I didn't really want to dig too deep because, you know, I wanted him to get paid for his story. So I don't know if he's going to do a documentary or a book. But, man, he come from a family, man, of hustlers and players, man. And for him not to go to the streets and go legit, man, it's definitely a blessing, man, and the motivation is inspiration. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, if he can do it, we can do it. You can do it. So, man, I appreciate y'all tapping in, man. If y'all haven't subscribed, man, subscribe to the channel, man, and hit that like button. Damn, I'm trying to think who I got coming on tomorrow. Tuesday. Oh, tax-free clothing coming on Tuesday. So be looking out for that. Be looking out for that promo and that flyer, and come back Tuesday at 9 p.m. and check me out. And don't forget, tap into Day Bomb TV for the music video reactions. I'm gonna holler at y'all.